been exactly 1 month since the Pahalgam terror attack. On April 22nd, you had 3 terrorists opening fire at innocent tourists, targeting them based on their religion. And 26 lives were lost, all men, 25 of those Hindus, because the terrorists asked and shot each of them down. Innocent lives were lost in this terror attack. A lot has happened in the last 1 month as well. But before we break down for you the takeaways of what's happened, here's a quick recap of what we witnessed on April 22nd and the steps thereafter.
साइड में था एक इंसान आया, उसने उसको गोली मार दी। यहाँ पे उसने बोला कि शायद मुस्लिम भी है, उसने उसको गोली मार दी।
थोड़ा बताइए, हुआ पति को मार दिया।
We should all be proud of him in every way.
आतंकियों ने हमारी बहनों का सिंदूर उजाड़ा, इसलिए भारत ने आतंक के ये हेडक्वार्टर्स उजाड़ दिए।
जो सिंदूर मिटाने निकले थे, जो सिंदूर मिटाने निकले थे, उन्हें मिट्टी में मिलाया है। लहू बहाते थे, जो हिंदुस्तान का लहू बहाते थे।
So a glimpse there of what exactly happened. April 22nd is when the terror attack took place. And like I said, a lot has changed. I want to run you through what's changed, the big 10 takeaways of how really India has ensured a message has been sent across to Pakistan. We've drawn a new red line, and this is something that the government, our forces have all made clear. I'll elaborate on what really this means in just a bit. But also remember that the government has said that here on there'll be no tolerance for terror. So every act of terror carried out on Indian soil will be treated as an act of war. So you'll see diplomatic action, you'll see digital action, you will see also military action if that is the need of the hour. That's what it means when we say an act of terror is now an act of war. Now, also remember that there was a very clear message that there is a no-nonsense approach to Pakistan-sponsored terror. The government no longer will hold back, and neither will our forces. That was evident with Operation Sindoor. And so if Pakistan doesn't crack down on terror on their soil, India will go ahead and do that. There is going to be no compromise on that. India will also ensure the global isolation of Pakistan. Diplomatically, we're taking steps in this effort. As we speak, there are delegations from across political parties in India who are traveling to different parts of the world to spread the message on Pakistan terror. Now, also a diplomatic crackdown is the new normal. We're talking about the Indus Waters Treaty. We're talking about steps like Pakistani visas being revoked. All of these steps will be taken, even as I told you, every act of terror is now an act of war against the country. And in this particular case, with Operation Sindoor, what was very clear is that forces were given a full free hand to respond to Pakistan in the manner that they deem fit. That was a clear go-ahead from the government as well on when, where, how forces will decide. And Pakistan's usual nuclear saber rattling that they resort to every single time, they tried it this time too. You had multiple statements saying, look, don't threaten us, don't provoke us, we'll use our nukes. The message is very clear from the government that it's not going to work. Nuclear blackmail threats will not work anymore. Talks with Pakistan will happen only on one issue, on terror. And this is something the Prime Minister himself has said very clearly. There's no question of trade. There's no question of dialogue. None of that while Pakistan continues to harbor terrorists. Water is now fair game to take on Pakistan. The Indus Waters Treaty that we've put in abeyance, confirmed even today by the MEA that it remains in abeyance. Pakistan, of course, has been urging for a rethink, but we're very clear. We say crack down on terror, and the Indus Waters Treaty will look into and see if it's something that we can actually consider bringing back onto the table. So the new red line that I was referring to, there are two aspects to this. One, of course, of how the government has reacted to the Pahalgam terror attack, and the second, how our forces have reacted. So I want to break that down further of how the government has redefined their terror messaging to the world, particularly to Pakistan. Steps that they've taken since April 22nd, since the Pahalgam terror attack. You had essentially the suspension of the Indus Waters Treaty, which remains, like I said, in abeyance till now. And this is perhaps the biggest diplomatic strike that India has taken, and unprecedented, really, that the Indus Waters Treaty at this point has been put in abeyance. Now, the closure of the Atari border, what does this signify? Essentially, that there's no trade that will take place. The beating retreat ceremony, of course, has been kicked off in a scaled-down version, but that doesn't mean that the border has been opened up. The gates still remain closed. Visas to Pakistani nationals were revoked. There was a clear deadline that was also issued by the government saying all Pakistani nationals on Indian soil will have to return back. And this was done right after the Pahalgam terror attack. In a matter of 2 days, this announcement was made. Then you also had a digital strike. What do I mean by that? Pakistani stars, influencers, cricketers, all of their Instagram accounts being blocked. And so a message being sent across by the government that if your country, if your army, if your government goes ahead and harbors terror, your citizens will pay the price too, with their accounts being blocked. All trade, like I said, with Pakistan has been stopped right now. Prime Minister Modi has made that very clear, that trade and terror cannot go hand in hand. Trade, terror and talks cannot happen. Let's play out for you some of the highlights of the Prime Minister's message from today when he visited Rajasthan, the toughest perhaps message that's come in so far in the last 1 month since the Pahalgam terror attack to Pakistan, to terrorists.
22 तारीख के हमले के जवाब में हमने 22 मिनट में आतंकियों के 9 सबसे बड़े ठिकाने तबाह कर दिए। दुनिया ने और देश के दुश्मनों ने भी देख लिया कि जब सिंदूर बारूद बन जाता है तो नतीजा क्या होता है। मैं देशवासियों से कहता हूं, जो सिंदूर मिटाने निकले थे, उन्हें मिट्टी में मिलाया है। जो हिंदुस्तान का लहू बहाते थे, आज कतरे कतरे का हिसाब चुकाया है। जो सोचते थे भारत चुप रहेगा, आज वो घरों में डूब के पड़े हैं। पहले घर में घुसकर किया था वार, अब सीधा सीने पर किया प्रहार है। आतंक का फन कुचलने की यही नीति है, यही रीति है, यही भारत है, नया भारत है। जब मैं दिल्ली से यहां आया तो बीकानेर के नाल एयरपोर्ट पर उतरा। पाकिस्तान ने इस एयरबेस को भी निशाना बनाने की कोशिश की थी, लेकिन वो इस एयरबेस को रत्ती भर भी नुकसान नहीं पहुंचा पाया। और वहीं यहां से कुछ ही दूर सीमा पार पाकिस्तान का रहीम यार खान एयरबेस है। पता नहीं आगे कब खुलेगा। आईसीयू में पड़ा है। भारत की सेना के अचूक प्रहार ने इस एयरबेस को तहस नहस कर दिया है।
So hard-hitting message there from Prime Minister Modi in that speech in Bikaner. I want to bring in Managing Editor Gaurav Sawant to talk about really what's changed in the last 1 month. Gaurav, as far as the government's response to Pakistan-sponsored terror is concerned, how do you think the government's strategy and response has changed from April 22nd to now?
India has adopted a multi-pronged strategy to deal with Pakistan's state-sponsored radical Islamist terror. Initially, the attempt was to use diplomatic means, and that is where Indus Waters Treaty was held in abeyance. Water and blood cannot flow together. That's India's message. The overground workers of Lashkar-e-Taiba, Hizbul Mujahideen, Jaish-e-Mohammed, these terrorist organizations, the overground workers were sorted out within the country, and that effort continues. An attempt is being made to ensure that Pakistani terrorists are like fish out of water and not fish in water in Jammu and Kashmir, and especially the Kashmir Valley. So that's the second pronged offensive. The third pronged offensive was targeting 9 terror bases in Pakistan, including the terror headquarters of Lashkar-e-Taiba at Muridke. Never done before, despite India being a victim of Pakistan's state-sponsored terror for over 3 decades. Also targeting Bahawalpur. This was India's efforts, and then Pakistan was told that India has targeted terror and there should be no escalation. But when Pakistan chose to respond and targeted or attempted to target Indian military installations, India then went and targeted 13 Pakistan Air Force bases and radar stations from Skardu in Pakistan-occupied Jammu and Kashmir through Pakistan's Punjab province, including the Mushaf base at Sargodha, Noor Khan at Rawalpindi, Rahim Yar Khan, Jacobabad. In fact, Prime Minister Narendra Modi specifically referred to Rahim Yar Khan opposite Nal in Bikaner, saying we don't know how long will Rahim Yar Khan remain in ICU. But not just in Pakistan's Punjab province, even in Sindh, where you had the Malir cantonment radar that was targeted, and the Bolari Air Force base, one of the Pakistan Air Force's newest air bases, where they've lost an AWACS system, airborne early warning command and control system, and some fighter jets. So India's response has been punitive. There are some reports that seem to indicate that even the Kirana Hills were targeted, something that India has strongly denied.
That's right. Thanks very much, Gaurav, for joining us with all of those details. So we've broken down for you what's changed as far as the government's response to Pak-sponsored terror really goes. What about our forces? What really has emerged in the last 1 month? When we talk about the new red line, there are several takeaways really from how our forces responded to Pakistan via, of course, Operation Sindoor. The biggest takeaway, perhaps, is this, that you give a free hand to our forces, there will be an all-out fitting response to Pakistan aggression particularly. Remember that we saw a 100% success rate from our forces. Every precision strike hit the intended target, and contrast that to Pakistan, which attempted to hit civilian establishments, air bases, failed miserably at doing every single one of those. And that's another big success talking point for our forces, that every attempt by Pakistan to hit back, to target Indians, was thwarted. And this was possible because of the seamless synergy that you saw between our forces, the Army, Air Force, and even the Navy, in sending across a message to Pakistan. And so very clearly, our forces have said that if you so much as try targeting civilian establishments, try hitting our bases, we will hit 10 times harder. For every step they take, we take 10 steps ahead. And what's also a big, big takeaway is that in Operation Sindoor, we saw the spotlight on made-in-India weapons, on the power of Atmanirbhar defense, which was also a big talking point, because many of the precision strikes we conducted was courtesy our own Desi weapons. So let me bring in senior journalist Sandeep Unithan on this broadcast as well. Sandeep, 1 month since the Pahalgam terror attack, we've seen, of course, how Operation Sindoor was hugely successful. It's still an ongoing operation. But what to you, Sandeep, is the biggest takeaway if you look at really how our forces responded to Pakistan?
Absolutely, Akshita. And you know what Prime Minister Modi there playing on the front foot at the Nal Air Base in Bikaner. And I think the biggest message coming out of the Prime Minister's speech, Akshita, is the fact that he mentions that Pakistan's army and economy will have to pay for every terror attack. Now, this is very interesting, the choice of words that the Prime Minister has made. He has targeted the Pakistan army for these terror attacks. This is the first time possibly after years of terrorist attacks that India has finally discovered that there is no distinction between the state and the non-state in Pakistan. For so many years, Pakistan has hidden behind this cover of plausible deniability, the fact that they said these attacks were being carried out by non-state actors over which it had no control, the Jaish and the Lashkar. What the Prime Minister is saying that we have seen through your double game. We are not going to take this any longer, and our new terror doctrine now targets the Pakistan army and the Pakistan economy. So very clearly, this is very different from previous times when we have targeted the Pakistan military and, of course, the infrastructure of terror. This time, it's all guns blazing. Every tool in India's quiver will be used to fight terrorism emanating from Pakistan. And the fact is, he's also mentioned that it is India's resolution and no power of the world can shake us from this resolution, possibly indicating that he is not going to be pressurized by world powers. This is the Prime Minister's words, that he is not going to be pressurized by any world power to take back this doctrine. Operation Sindoor continues till the time Pakistan realizes it cannot use terror as a low-cost option of bleeding India through 1,000 cuts. Akshita.
Very true. So a fitting message being sent across to Pakistan. And the fact that you've got repeated reiterations there from the government, from our forces, that this is an ongoing operation, essentially keeps Pakistan on their toes. And the messaging is clear that till they crack down on terror in their soil, we will continue to, keep that aggression going at Pakistan. Thanks very much, Sandeep, for joining us here in our studios. I just also want to put out a reminder for our viewers. We're talking about 1 month since the Pahalgam terror attack. So just a reminder that 1 month on, we're yet to nab the Pahalgam butchers. The men who killed so many innocent tourists, 26 of them, they're still out there. And a reminder again that this is how the butchers look, the men behind that carnage. Sources say that our forces have ensured they haven't been able to leave Kashmir. They're still hiding it out in the densely wooded areas. But there has been a challenge in nabbing them at this point. They've been on the hunt for the last 1 month. We've seen multiple encounters take place where top Lashkar terrorists and other terror group commanders have been neutralized. But the hunt continues for the men who bled India on April 22nd. And I'd like to bring in Mir Farid also for more details at this point on exactly what action has been taken by forces. It's also extremely challenging, mind you, because of the terrain in that entire area. These are densely wooded areas. There is a problem in finding and scouting the entire breadth of these forests. But add to it is the fact that among these terrorists, they also have one local who knows the area in and out, who knows the area as well as anyone could possibly. And so he knows exactly where to hide out. Now, add to that also is the fact that these terrorists came fully equipped. After the attack, they knew exactly where to go, and then they had all of the stock that they needed to stay in hiding for so long. Mir Farid is joining us live with the latest updates, really, Mir, at this point, on what's happening as far as the hunt for these terrorists go. You know, we've seen multiple encounters, operations, Shopia this morning in Kishtwar as well. But take us through what's really happened as far as the hunt for the Pahalgam terrorists are concerned. Are we closer to finding them?
Well, Akshita, if you remember, just 24 hours after this attack, the security forces managed to pinpoint and claim that it was the Musa Fauji group of the Lashkar which was behind it. As you rightly said, 3 FTs, 3 non-locals and a local, hardcore local element who was acting as the navigator and probably the resource person for logistics and etc. Now, on the very first day, we also reported that this seems to be a very well-recceived attack, a well-planned It was a big conspiracy. So it was quite clear that once they carried out this attack, they had their escape plan in mind. And now our sources say that since it's been almost a month, so question want to know what is really
connection with Mir. We will reconnect with him, but Mir Farid getting us details essentially of how our forces have been attempting to really smoke out these terrorists from where they are hiding. But it's been challenging so far. Hopefully, we will see success for our forces in the coming days, in the coming weeks. But let's also do a reality check, shall we, of what's happening right now in Jammu and Kashmir, in Pahalgam, in Srinagar. Since April 22nd, we've seen a huge dent on tourism, where you had scores, lakhs of tourists descending in the valley for summer. Now those numbers have dwindled. April 22nd, right after, we saw all of those images of people immediately leaving Kashmir in a panic. Have things changed now? Is there still confidence now slowly building and seeping into tourists? What's the situation on the ground? Mir Farid gets you these reports.
It's been almost a month since the dastardly Pahalgam terror attack. Now the question right now is that what next for Kashmir and especially its tourism. We are right now in the Nishat Mughal Garden, one of the unique selling points of Kashmir tourism. Now there are at least 2 to 3 Mughal gardens that are very close to the Dal Lake and are a center of attraction for tourists. But right now, I'll tell Tariq to show you, like Pahalgam, like other tourist destinations, this place is also absolutely deserted. We spoke to the people, the contractor who had taken this contract from the government. This year, he had paid a whopping 4.2 crore rupees for this season. And initially, as the tourism season started to build, he was getting tremendous response, footfall. For example, a day before the Pahalgam terror attack, that's around 21st of April, the register, if you check the register, you'll find close to 14 to 15,000 people, majority of them tourists visiting this garden. And today, if you compare to that, till this time, which is an afternoon time, hardly 300 to 400 people have visited, and that too, majority is the locals. The fact that certain areas of Pahalgam have been restricted, which are the hubs of tourism activity, the fact that people are not allowed to Adu, to Chandanwadi, to Baisaran obviously is the crime scene that is already cut off, to the Betab Valley, tells you that the government right now, obviously tourism is not that they're thinking about, it's more about ensuring that the security situation improves, ensuring that you have a foolproof arrangement, security arrangement for the Amarnath Yatra. So where does this leave Kashmir tourism? Obviously, they'll have to be patient with this. They'll have to wait for the Yatra to get completed without any incident. It has to be a safe period, and post that they can take it from there. Obviously, the Chief Minister has also said the same thing to the tourism industry, and now hope is that the government of India really comes into this. They can initiate it. They can really try to reinstill the sense of confidence among the tourists, among the operators who were flooding Kashmir before the Pahalgam terror attack. And now the situation is such that there is a boycott Kashmir call all over. So obviously more needs to be done, but right now it seems it's a passage where everyone needs to be patient, and then obviously the various stakeholders, the government of India, the local government, the tourism industry, the various bodies really need to come together, chalk out a strategy of outreach, and probably that could be the start of a long sustained period of sending the right message across, of again showcasing Kashmir as a safe tourist destination. But as I said, it is going to take a while and it is going to take a long time. With campus and Tariq Lone, Mir Farid, Nishat Mughal Garden, Srinagar, for India Today.
And 1 month since the Pahalgam terror attack, we've of course seen the success, the roaring success of Operation Sindoor. Interestingly, in the global community also, there's been a lot of talk about what's happening. I want to bring your focus, however, to the Cannes Film Festival. Why? Aishwarya Rai Bachchan. She's a veteran, of course, at the film festival, and she's trending again, not just for her red carpet appearance, but for the streak of sindoor so visible as part of her look. She's never done that before in any of her previous Cannes X appearances. So was her sindoor a subtle tribute to our forces or an intentional message timed to Operation Sindoor? Maybe just a style statement. Well, at this point, it's all speculation, but that picture of her and other stars also sporting the sindoor has gone viral.
It's a fashion statement that has fans, fashion critics and geopolitical experts in a chokehold. Aishwarya Rai Bachchan's stunning appearance at Cannes has become a big talking point. But it wasn't just her outfit that turned heads. The former beauty queen, Bollywood icon and Cannes veteran dazzled on the red carpet once again. But what caught everyone's attention was a small yet powerful detail. A streak of sindoor traditionally worn by married Hindu women, proudly adorning her hairline. Usually Aishwarya's sindoor wouldn't have hit headlines, but it did since it comes at a moment charged with national sentiment. Just days after India's Operation Sindoor that targeted terror and military infrastructure across the border in Pakistan. Many are wondering if Aishwarya's sindoor was an intentional statement or a tribute to India's successful military operation.
I think Aishwarya very subtly carried that message for India on the world stage at the red carpet in Cannes this year. She carried India fully from head to toe, not just in the look that she wore in the sari, but also with the sindoor as a tribute to Operation Sindoor. Operation Sindoor is something that India wants the world to know what it was all about.
The symbolism of sindoor, sacrifice and strength was also invoked by the Prime Minister.
दुनिया ने और देश के दुश्मनों ने भी देख लिया कि जब सिंदूर बारूद बन जाता है तो नतीजा क्या होता है.
At a moment when India asserts itself on diplomatic and defense fronts, the image of Aishwarya Rai Bachchan's sindoor may have quietly echoed a larger national mood, one of strength, pride and unwavering identity. Bureau Report, India Today.